Thank you for joining us this beautiful Saturday morning. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has called on the federal government to stand up to its responsibility and pay the salaries of striking doctors. Well, if you recall, government had ordered the doctors to get back to work yesterday. Of course, they didn't get back to work. And government said yesterday that it was going to wield the big stick and said that no work would attract no pay. So that's where we are now. And last night we heard the Minister of Labor saying that he was not prepared to meet with doctors anymore. So where does that leave us? What's going to happen now? Essential services, there's a pandemic, the hospitals are empty of doctors. Where does that leave us, the citizens? And where does that leave the doctors if government is no longer going to dialogue with them? These and many more questions we're going to ask our guests this morning. And one of them is Dr. Francis Faduile, consultant pathologist and former president, Nigeria Medical Association, who joins us via Zoom. Good morning, Dr. Faduile. Would you please unmute yourself so that we can hear you?
Good morning.
Yes.
I'm unmuted.
Yes, we can hear you now.
It's my pleasure to be with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We also have Julian Ojebo, who's Chairman Communication and Communique and immediate past first Vice President of the National Association of Resident Doctors. He joins us from Abuja. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Julian.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Right. So let me begin with you, Mr. Ojebo. Now that the government, well, represented by the Minister of Labor, has said that he will not dialogue with the association anymore, where does that leave you guys?
It's no longer news that we embarked on an industrial action on Monday, being the second day of August 2021 at 0800 hours. We're also privy to some of the information as proceeded by the Honorable Minister for Labor and Employment yesterday on your show, where he actually gave some information that were not so true. They were all leading with falsehood. For starters, the ministers did say that the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors did not notify him, according to the trade dispute notification, of the industrial action we were going to embark on the 2nd of August. Now, that is a false statement. With me here is a copy, acknowledged copy, that the association sent to the minister. It's dated 25th of June 2021 and was acknowledged on the 28th of June 2021. We did not just give the federal government the 15 days notification according to the Trade Dispute Act. We gave them a 30 days notification. Also, not forgetting that this industrial action we embarked on currently is a suspended action, which we did suspend sometime in April the 9th. So when the minister says that he wasn't informed, that is also falsehood. Also, let me quickly say some quick facts here. The minister also did say that our house officers were actually placed on the MSS payment platform. That is also in error, because the house officers were in 2009 September, were placed on the Commerce platform. Okay, with the circular attached to it. We also have the circular also here. Okay, that's the circular that places the house officer on the Commerce payment platform. He also did say that one of our grievances is that the head of service did raise a memo saying that our house officers have been removed from the scheme of service. Do you remove someone from a scheme of service that the person is not already on? So we really don't understand what he was trying to say. We also did say that sometime in 2020, COVID-19 emanated, okay, ravaging all across the globe. In the crossfire, we lost 19 of our members. Now, we approached the government in 2020, in July, and said we've lost 19 of our members, and we need them to benefit from the death in service insurance. Now, these 19 members have not been paid their death in service benefits. Now, they came up with a value that, now, at the last meeting we held in July, where we paid a courtesy visit. Now, because of the failure of government to attend to our letter we wrote to them to inform them of the impending strike action 4 weeks prior to when we had the strike, we gave the minister a call and we said, sir, we've called your office, we've written to your office, and we've said that our members have not been paid. And he said, okay, you guys should come for a meeting. At that meeting, it was made clear, abundantly clear, that the office of the head of service has not been serious and has been playing games.
Dr.
Okay,
Jebo.
they brought out a flimsy
Dr. Jebo. Dr. Jebo, I beg your pardon. Dr. Jebo.
195 members, again in error, the minister said 95, it was 195. When we went through that list, at that table, we found out that our members were not included in the 195 names that were published by the various insurance companies to be paid their debt in service benefits. Okay, now we went further. The minister did say he was going to expedite the motion so that these our members would be included. He gave 2 days. We reached out to the office of the head of service and nobody attended to us. That is just one. We talked about migration of our members to the IPPIS platform. Now, just at the meeting, at the instance of the Honorable Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, he did say that our members were going to be migrated within 2 weeks. Within that 2 weeks, that the Honorable Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, when he did say that they were going to move our members, we noted that just within 5 days, the head of service released a circular instructing that migration should be halted. Why was it halted? We have no idea. We reached out to the Minister of Labour again, reached out to the Minister of Health, and they did not attend to any of these matters. We also did say that our members have not been paid their due salaries. Salaries. Not any other allowance. Salaries.
Dr.
Our
Jebo.
members on this GIFMIS platform.
Dr. Jebo, I do beg your pardon. Regarding the notice of the strike, the minister said that the document he received was like minutes of your meeting in Umuahia, not a notice that a strike was imminent.
This is the document. This is not a communique. This is not a communique. Okay, I'm the chairman of the communique committee. This is not a communique from Umuahia. Umuahia was in July. This letter is dated 29th of June 2021. This was the date of reception of the letter, and this is not the stamp of the President Uyilawa. This is not the stamp of Julian Ojebo. This is the stamp of the Federal Ministry of Labour, acknowledging that fact. So I don't understand where the minister is coming from. You know, we've always said that appointees of government, we've always appealed to the Nigerian Medical Association to ensure that appointees of government have what we call the mini mental state examination, because we really don't understand. Because is this some form of amnesia? Is this some form of not really knowing what is really going on in the ministries?
Okay.
Are they trying to
Thank you, Dr. Jebo.
On purpose?
Thank you, Doctor. Let me bring in Dr. Faduile. You are a senior doctor. What are your thoughts about all this that's going on, all this backing and forthing? You know, this has been going on now for years, yet the issues cannot seem to be settled so that these doctors are happy at their jobs.
Thank you very much, Alero. It is really unfortunate that we are finding ourselves in this state again. We have always believed that the government should be responsible and responsive to the yearnings of the population. And in this respect, I must say that what we have had serially is government not following up or not ensuring that the agreements that they have with the Nigerian Medical Association, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors is followed. And I can tell you on this particular one, it is really unfortunate. The resident doctors have stayed and they have actually extended their residence to ensure that they discharge services to Nigerian populace. Unfortunately, we have a government who has not done the needful. For example, can we explain why doctors have not been paid up for up to 4 months, 5 months? And this is normal duties that they have rendered. Unfortunately, also, we have to ask, why do government come out with a policy of changing the payment platform from DIPMIS to IPPS, from this, and you are putting people who are doing their legitimate work at risk of not getting salary for up to 5-6 months. And if they have had agreement and the government has promised that they will do some of their part, is it acceptable that the government will come 6 months, 7 months later and still telling us the same story that they have not paid? Can you beat a child and you still hold the child not to cry? It is not possible. For example, we have house officers who are just coming in. All over the world, house officers had always been in the scheme of service of medical career. How did they get to this level in which they said they are expunging house officers from being in the scheme of service? Of what benefit? If you have other medical association, allied medical professionals that you want to control them, why are you changing what has been internationally accepted? We made this known to them. We had a lot of discussion with the head of service, and they said they would do something. But by the time they start putting bottlenecks, you have difficulties. And even the hazard allowance that we are talking about, they have come out, the government has come out and said that it is paltry, it is not good that they are paid 5,000 naira hazard allowance. But what are we being paid today? That is close to about 16 months after we have had COVID in this country. They are still being paid the paltry 5,000. Those who have died in the course of duty, who contracted COVID while they were treating patients, and they died, pay the supreme price for this country, and we are still, as of today, still dilly-dallying on how to pay them. Will that be an incentive for doctors to go out and go and face the treatment for Nigerian populace? And I can tell you, as a teacher and as a trainer, in my departments, where we used to have about 7-8 resident doctors, we barely have one. And the work cannot progress without having resident doctors to complement the duties of the consultants. A lot of them are leaving this country in droves, and we need to stop it. This action that the government is displaying will not help the health system of this country. We need to prevail on the government to do the needful, because we cannot continue to say the same thing over and over again, and we expect that we'll have improvement. The ranking of Nigeria in terms of health has been abysmally low. We are ranked close to places where there are war-torn countries, Afghanistan, places like Somalia, and Nigeria prides itself as the giant of Africa, the largest black nation in the world. I think we need to change the narrative. We need to do more. The government needs to be more transparent. The government needs to put a lot of things in place to sustain the health system of this country. And this is why we are calling on the government. The threat that you want to sack them has been a threat that we have had from time immemorial. It has not worked. It will not work. And it will not do any, it will not be of any benefit to anyone. the hospital is, the health system in this country is going down by the day, and every concerted effort must be in place to improve it, and not this war song by the government, who has failed repeatedly to pay ordinary salary for its workforce.
Dr. Ojogo, the last strike action was in April, and some agreements were reached before NARD agreed to go back to work. So between April and now, what has happened regarding the agreements that made doctors go back to work in April?
Now, this is the addendum to the memorandum of action that was signed at the instance of the Honorable Minister of Labour. In this addendum, it has six subheadings, signed by both the President of Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, Secretary of the NMA, the Director of Hospital Services, Director of IPPIS. As I speak to you, not one of these items, have been completed to 60%, not one. Let me start from the first one. Non-payment of house officers. As we speak, 114 of our members have not been paid their salaries for 1 to 6 months. Over 550 of them have not been paid for 2 months. That is just number one. In that number one, they set up a committee to look into these issues, but it wasn't done. These are the members of the committee. From the Federal Ministry of Health, the chairman was Maha. The MDCN had Henry as the secretary. IPPIS has Akko. NMA has Philip Ekbe. NARD has our financial secretary, who is Kingsley Okeke. And the committee of CMDs was represented by Dr. Jaff Momo. As I speak to you, over 550 of our members have not been paid for 2 months. 114 of them have not been paid between 1 and 6 months. That is for house officers. We move on to the second one, abolishment of bench fees. As I speak to you, the CMD of Luth, Professor Chris Bode, has renamed the bench fee to be training fee and has collected between the sum of 250,000 naira to 300,000 naira. We have payments receipts for these our members that have been paid, and it has been abolished. That is number two. Non-payment of national minimum wage consequential adjustments. Nothing has been done about it. Our members are still being owed all across 74 member centers in the country, both states and federal. Payment of salary shortfall, 2014 to 2016. In 2013, because we do forget history easily, in 2013, in the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, the other health workers approached the courts. They were given an injunction where they were skipped. We approached the federal government for relativity to be achieved. Relativity, they started paying relativity in 2014. In 2014. Now, when they started paying relativity, they were now owing our members, okay? We now reached a memorandum of understanding in 2016 that our arrears from 2014 to 2016 will be paid. This is what gave birth to this 2014 to 2016 salary shortfalls that we had. The government has reneged on those of its promises. So we're not paid that. I'm not even talking about the specialist allowance that are being owed to all the specialist registrars across the country. Our members are being owed specialist allowance. I mean, they've not even said anything about it. All across the country, both state and federal. Now, let's come to the crux of the matter. Residency training allowance. The Minister of Labour did say last night that he quoted a figure which was about 3.7 billion. Now, that is in error. In 2020, gracious to the Honorable Speaker of the House of Rep, 4 billion was given for medical residency training funding. Now, also in error, they are not giving us money for accommodation. They are not giving us money for books. We pay for our books. We pay for our accommodation. What we are saying is that pay for the exams that we are going to write. That is what, and that's what brings about that money for medical residency training funding. So when they come with some things that doesn't even make sense to even a 2-year-old, it actually gets disgusting and annoying. Okay, we're saying that pay us what you're owing us. Now, he also said on TV last night that they have paid us for 2021. How would you pay me money and I'm not aware you have paid me? We are telling you that you are owing us arrears for 2019, you're owing us arrears for 2020, and you've also not paid for 2021. And you're coming on TV and you're telling us that you have paid. I think that's some administrative rascality mixed with administrative lethargy. It shouldn't be said at all in any parlance.
On this same issue, you know, there is always a lot to pack into this kind of conversation, and I can relate with how difficult it must be for the people, medical doctors who train for years and who are involved in this issue. I'll take some other issues to Dr. Fadiele later, but for you, one of the things that the Minister of Health said was that the NARD needs to work with the NMA and Johisu, because some of those conversations had to do with, it's more holistic than just something concerning NARD. It also involves NMA and Johisu as well, that you need to work together on that. And he also said that some of the issues that are on the table are responsibilities of states, direct employees of the doctors, and not something to do with the federal government. What's your reaction to those?
Thank you so much. This is the communique that we have stating, detailing all our issues that vis-a-vis the federal and the state government. Now, let me even move to the state government, okay? Now, you know, in Nigeria, we are quick to copy things that are wrong. In Nigeria, we're quick to copy things that are wrong. Now, all our issues that we have both in the federal government, we also have in the state government. Now, let me bring out one governor out of the park, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. I'm actually happy the minister referenced that he worked with Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa in the 7th Assembly. Okay, but he's not doing what the Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa is doing. As we speak, our members in Delta State, under the Delta State employ, are collecting the medical residency training funding, okay, so that they can enroll for the August, the August deadline for their exams in September, October, November, okay. Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa also did pay our members 3 months of the COVID inducement allowance, not forgetting that the government paid with so much irregularities the COVID hazard inducement allowances, where he promised, the government did promise to pay 6 months, and they paid between 1 and 3 months for some of our members, and some of our members didn't even get anything, okay? Imagine a governor, we met with the governor of Abia State sometime last week, and he told us categorically to our faces that he is owing 19 months, that he was going to pay 3 months out of the 19 months. Now, the 3 months he said he was going to pay was on Monday. Today is Saturday. Our members have still not collected anything. So it goes to show that there's so much insincerity in political appointees, in office holders, and they're not just true to what they're saying. Now, also, in responding to what you also asked, when he said that all of the issues, 7 out of the 10 issues were from the state government, that is quite laughable. Okay, you know, like I said earlier, we need to do mini mental state examination for some public office holders, because the things they say,
Dr. Ojabo, kindly speak to, please speak to the issue so it doesn't look or sound. One second, please. Just 1 second. Just 1 second, Dr. Ojabo. Please speak to the issue and try not to, you know, cast aspersions on personalities, because, I mean, everyone is entitled to whatever it is that they want to say. It's a freedom of expression. Please try to avoid casting aspersions on persons. Speak to the issue that has been raised. You have tried to answer some states, but if it is the responsibility of some states to take on certain issues, why not take on those issues with those states? Because making it a national thing is all looking like it's the federal government that's been, you know, responsible all the while, and consequently shifting the responsibility of the state governments that are themselves, in a way, autonomous on the federal government.
Now, let me address this issue head on. These are the observations that was made at the end of the NEC that our members have not been paid January, February, March, April, May, June, July in, under the GFME platform, particularly in UPTH, which is a federal institution, University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, which is a federal institution, University of Calabar Teaching Hospital, which is a federal institution, University College Hospital, which is a federal institution. That is one. There was also the release by the head of service, a memo released by the head of service that said that they should stop the payment, the migration and payment of our members on the GFME platform. That is also the duty of the federal government. We also said that we've not received the 2021 medical residency training funding. We also said that we have arrears for 2019 and 2020, which is also the duty of the federal government. We also did say that our members have been extorted by by some CEOs and some CMDs, and we named the bench fee that was abolished to training fee is also a duty of the federal government. We also did say that our members have not been paid the death in benefit service, which is also the duty of the federal government. We also did say that we've not, over 16 months after the government reached an agreement with us that they were going to review the hazard allowance, it's still not been reviewed. It's also the duty of the federal government. We also did say that our members are shortly, as a result of the brain drain that we have in the country, our members are overworked, our staff strength has reduced, is also the duty of the federal government. We also did say that, some of our members have not been paid the COVID hazard inducement allowances in all of the states, in all of the federal teaching hospitals. Is also the duty of the federal government. So I have given you 9 items that are the duties of the federal government. Now let me come down to the states. We're saying that some states like Abia, Imo, and University of Medical Sciences in University of Medical Sciences, Barrow Diko Teaching Hospital in Kaduna State, Ekiti State University Teaching Hospital are being owed 18,632 and 1 month respectively. Now that is the only item that we have said in the communique that is left at the preserve of the state government. So I don't understand what you mean by it's not the duty of the federal government.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jabo. We'll come to other issues. Just 1 second. Dr. Fadile, one thing that I believe you should be able to speak to confidently and authoritatively is the conversations that should be going on between the NMA and NARD, which is supposed to be a member of the NMA. You're a former president of the NMA, so I'm just wondering, what kind of conversations do you think should have been happening? Because many would say, for now, we haven't really heard the NMA say anything about this particular issue.
Thank you very much. I think it is important for us to know that the NMA treats the affairs of its affiliate bodies as also very important to its own organization. In this regard, all the meetings that the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors have had with the government, there had always been an NMA representation. We have had severally the name of Dr. Philip Ekwe, who is the Secretary General of Nigerian Medical Association. At our last ADM, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors presented their case, and the NMA is fully in support of this particular group of people who are requesting that these are their due and the government is supporting. NMA has not come in because we have up to 7 affiliates of NMA, and we cannot declare a war to bring everybody to war. The Nigerian Medical Association is watching closely. We are hoping that the government will do the needful. We are supporting both the resident doctors and our members who are in the government to let them know that they needed to do something urgently so that we should not continue to have disruption in the health services. Of course, NMA is in the background, is in the know, and the resident doctors, all the things that they have put forward are things that are for the resident doctors. And in this wise, the Nigerian Medical Association has allowed the National Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors to lead the discussion. When I was NMA president, we had several meetings I attended. I just sit by, moderate some things in case we want to have some heated arguments, and we move forward. We were able to get some major breakthrough, and we are hoping that the government in this instance does the right thing. We need the government to come open and let everything to be resolved. The resident doctors are not asking for something new. They are not bringing any new conditions into what has been done. The government needs to follow the memorandum of agreement or understanding, whichever one they call it, that they have signed with everybody. In your intro, I heard that the different departments of different ministries were there at the different discussions. Yes, they were. The question is, once you leave there, what happens? Everybody go back to sleep. And it is really, really unfortunate.
Dr. Fadile, just 1 second. I think that is where the problem is. You know, if there is an agreement and everyone was there, is that indicative that there was no will in the first place to solve the problem? You talked about the fact that some of your members who are in government ought to be doing something. We all know it's something that is known to you. The Minister of Health is a medical doctor and a member of your association. The Minister of State is a member of your association and is a medical doctor. The Minister of Labor is a member of your association and he is also a medical doctor. So what, in your opinion, would be the problem?
Thank you very much. I must say that at this junction, we must know that the government will not come out to start blaming themselves. The Minister of Health can do as much as he can. The Minister of State for Health can do as much as he can. They cannot bring out money from the coffers of the government. Even the Minister of Labor, that is a medical doctor, is by chance. It's not as if that is a position that is for medical doctor. And we want to appreciate Dr. Ngige, but he has to know that when legitimate activities for doctors, it's not as if that we are taking him out of the medical scheme. He is talking like a labor minister, and we accept that. But for these issues, it goes beyond him coming and saying he's a doctor, therefore he can prescribe and say this is how it should be. The resident doctors need to be paid. And there is nothing anybody can do beyond that. If you are not paid, you are saying work, no pay. The work they have done, have you paid? He who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Has he done what is necessary in the first instance? If they have not done that, I don't think the justification is there for you to say that you have not paid some people who have legitimately worked for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, and you are saying that they should continue working when you have not brought out a way to settle it. The resident doctors have told us that they have gone to IPPI severally. They have told us that the head of service has brought out circular which are inimical to the dictates of the agreements that they have reached. Is it within the activity of the resident doctor to get this done? No, it is the ministry. But we will not have the ministers or the different ministries coming here to start castigating themselves. They have to do what is needful. The resident doctors, the medical practitioners, they have had enough patience for them to ensure that the health system of this country continues to move without disruption. But the government, not Dr. Ngige, not Ministry of Health, the entire government must do what is necessary for them so that we can continue to have a smooth health system. In this regard, what they have agreed are things that they are requesting the ministry to do, nothing new. Why is it difficult for them to do it? Shifting blame, casting aspersion, these are not the things that we should be talking. How do you pay for everybody who has not been paid? Those who have died in the line of their duty, how do you get their money to them? It's not about rhetoric, it's not about story. It's about getting it done. And it is not within the purview of the Minister of Labour. It's not within the purview of the Minister of Health. If they have actually done their part, let them come out. If you say there is no money, let us hear that there is no money. But you are not saying anything, and you are saying that resident doctors and other health workers should continue to work without having any end in sight. It is not possible. It cannot work. And this is why we must, and I think every Nigerian should demand from the government to do the needful to save the health system in this country. Things are going really, really bad. I am a practitioner in this country, and I can tell you that we are having a very big problem within the hospital. The resident doctors are having a hell of activities, a lot of pressure on them. They are having burnt out syndrome, and a lot of them are leaving the shores of this country. So are we ready to stop this tide? It is left for the government.
Dr. Fadile, let me just play devil's advocate here. Suppose the government cannot afford to pay all these things and it's not willing to actually say it is not. Because we have seen in the last year or so how government has been trying all kinds of, should I say, ruses to try and raise more money. We've seen that happen, haven't we?
Well, if the government come out and they say they can't pay, is another discussion. If they come out and they say they can pay, is another discussion. Let them come out. Let's hear them first. If they say that, then we'll come back and we'll discuss. But I can tell you, there is opportunity cost for everything. The actions of the government or the inaction of the government will have a long-term effect, a spiral effect on the general populace. The health system is in comatose now because resident doctors are on strike. Thousands of people are dying, and this death is at the neck of the government because they are not doing the needful. So I think it's important for us, for everybody to come clean. Government says, I can't pay, let us hear from them. And let us start the discussion from there. But it is not when you have had an agreement, they have signed a memorandum of understanding, they have signed memorandum of action, they have promised it, they have said they will do this, they will do that. I think moving government from moving doctors from GSMIS to IPPS is not about money. It's about policy. Ensuring that the insurance pay for those people who have died in the course of their duty is not about money. It is insurance who is going to pay. Okay? And making sure that the medical, the benefits is abolished is not about money. It's about ensuring that what you have passed to the CMDs are followed in total. These are not about money. These are about the will of the government to do the needful. And I think we need to hang everything on the neck of the government so that they know the implication of what they are doing. Asking doctors or telling them that we will now do no work, no pay. In the first instance, they have done pay and you have not paid them. So what's the justification of saying no work, no pay? And I think we need to condemn it in all the times.
Okay, well, Dr. Jebo, again, let me also join Alera in playing the devil's advocate here. Earlier in the week, we had a conversation along this line where government brought up that judgment which says where a court, an industrial court in Enugu sat and said that it was unlawful for essential services organizations such as yourselves should go on strike. Join that in your conversation with this Trade Disputes Essential Services Act, which there are sections that says it's an act to empower the president to proscribe any trade union or association, the members of which are employed in any essential service, if such union or association has been engaged in industrial unrest or acts calculated to disrupt the smooth running of any essential service. Earlier in the week, we heard the minister say that the NARD members should not destabilize Nigeria. and that they should go back to work. When we juxtapose all these, do you see a situation where the NARD could be proscribed if you do not return to work within the shortest possible time?
Ayo, thank you so much. You know, like I said, we're quick to forgetting history. Ransom Kuti in 1983, himself being the Secretary General of the NMA and his other members of the National Officers Committee were proscribed. So we are not new to them saying they want to proscribe us. In 2014, our members were sacked under the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan government. In Lagos State, Engineer Raji Fashola sacked 783 of our members in Lagos State. So we're not new to all of these things. Okay, so when they say all of this, it's just laughable. Also, let me go to the judgment in the industrial court. When we discussed with our lawyers, it was made clear, abundantly clear, that the judgment at the point was in 2014, okay, where the trade dispute notification was not in accordance to the Trade Dispute Act. And I've showed you here today. I've showed you here. This is a notification letter. We followed all the dictates of the Trade Dispute Act in ensuring that we do what we are supposed to do. As it stands, our members already are destabilized. Our members are impoverished. Our members are in pains because of the loved ones they've lost. So what more kind of pain do you want to inflict on us that will be worse than what you've already done to us? The pain we are in already, like they put in social media, we are in severe pains, as it were. Very, very severe pains. So if you now tell us that you want to do more than what you've done to us, it just comes to us as a rude shock. If they go by what they have said, where they want to attach, what we feel right now, what the government is doing is administrative lethargy, because you have signed a memorandum of action and you have not done that. And then you now come and you're telling us that according to the section 43, 1A of the Trade Dispute Act, you are going to do no work, no pay. It's a fusion of administrative rascality with administrative lethargy. So we don't understand what you mean by we are trying to disrupt the Nigerian. We already disrupted as it was. We're already in pains. Both federal and state government. So what are you talking about? We're already in pains.
Talk to us about the death in service insurance. If it's an insurance, what has it got to do with the government? Shouldn't it be an insurance company paying that to the families?
Okay, thank you. There's something we call the group life insurance, okay, where the government also pays its own parts of the monies and the insurance company pays its own parts. Okay, now there's usually this synergism between both arms of government, usually at the behest of the office of the head of service. Okay, but now we found out over time that the office of the head of service is not giving us the true pictures. So at different meetings we've had to tell members, the conciliators of each of these meetings, that we think that there is dishonesty at the level of the head of service. So when they brought out a memo and showed to us at that conciliatory meeting that 195 healthcare workers have been paid this group life insurance, we found out that our 19 members were not included. Not one. They were not included. And we drew their attention at that table. We drew the attention of the representative of the head of service that our members have not been included. Now, they also brought out some checks and said we should go through the checks. And we told them, we presented the names, the phone numbers, and the details of their next of kin to them. That's how detailed the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors are. We don't go to any meetings unprepared. We gave them names, addresses, phone numbers, and the contact of the next of kin of our members that had died. And we said, these names are not included. And the minister did say at that forum that they were going to expedite action to ensuring. And he told us in 48 hours they were going to get back to him. In that same 48 hours, they also said we should also bring all these documents to the office of the head of service. The sitting first vice president went to the office of the head of service and waited for 4 hours and was now told that the head of service was not on seat. So how do you want us to reconcile these gray areas? So it is quite difficult when people that are supposed to do their jobs are actually not doing their jobs.
It's something very troubling.
So we really don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, just 1 second. Let me ask both of you, but I'll start with Dr. Fadile on this one. There is also the belief in some quarters that sometimes after government has done the needful, paying all of these funds to train the doctors, some of them just up and go, jet out of the country. Do you think that could in any way be part of the reason why government is reluctant, knowing that some of them could complain of unsatisfactory conditions of service and consequently leave the country?
Thank you very much. I think we have to look this from the background of cause and effect. When you have resident doctors who, after the difficulties passed through the residency training and they get to become a consultant, and you have them sometimes up to 6 months not having any employment. We have so many consultants who are looking for employment. I have many of them who have approached me that I should help them to seek employment. Again, we have many of them who have been employed and they have not been gainfully, they have not been paid salaries for upward of 5 months, 6 months. I'm talking about consultants. We have many medical officers who are roaming the streets of this country and they do not have work. Will you advise that they should continue to be resilient in their house with hunger and they will not find somewhere to get themselves gainfully employed? It is difficult. Some of us who have decided to stay at home have believed that we must improve what is on ground. Outside the country, I can tell you, doctors, and especially Nigerian doctors, are highly valued and highly prized, even in the contiguous West African countries. It is the same Malay that we are seeing with the government for the residency training that we are seeing in the entire health system. Many of our state hospitals are not opening spaces for doctors to be employed. Many hospitals that you're supposed to have about 6, 7, 8 doctors, you may barely have one. And you can understand the health status of the people around that, how it will affect the health status of the people around that area. And for consultants, I can tell you many of our federal health institutions that need to have a lot of consultants in place, many of them have not advertised or employed consultants. So it is not as if doctors are leaving this country when they have opportunity to get employed. It is because after the government and the doctors have sacrificed a lot to get themselves trained to become highly skilled medical professionals, the government refused to open the pathway for them to get employed. And again, we have issues that are confronting the medical profession. You have heard about all the complaints by the resident doctors, and I must tell you, many of our residents are leaving. By the time we're in month 1, you will hear about 5 of them have left. By the time you get to the 6th month, you will hear up to 30 of them have left, even when they are in training, because the training, you do not know the end of your training because of this strike action or these disruptions that we have here and there. And lastly, it is important for government to improve the hospital facilities and equipment. Many hospitals They are just hospital in building, and that is what the government like to praise. They have built this, they have opened 200-bed hospital, they have done this, but go and look at the equipment, you don't have them. And one of the things that pains any health professionals, especially consultants and doctors, is for you to see a patient in which you know what you can do, you have the skill to do what you can use, what you can do to save such life, and you see those deaths. You just have to see about 5 or 6 of such deaths, and you get disenchanted. You want to go to somewhere you can actually intervene to make things better. So the whole essence still falls with the federal government, with the state government. The premium they are putting on health is so little. And the reason is health is usually intangible. And politician wants to show something that is tangible for them to say, look, I have done this, I have done that. Forgetting that a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. Forgetting that health is wealth. People, Nigerian populace, must demand from any of the levels or the tiers of the government that the government must provide good health for them. The primary healthcare center is, the primary healthcare level is almost comatose all over the country. The secondary is gradually decaying to a level of 0. Many of our general hospitals are down, nothing is happening. Many states you have heard about Abia, say, for example, they have not paid their doctors for upward of 13, 16 months. That is over a year. And you expect the people to work effectively. And what will happen?
Just 1 second. Just 1 second, Dr. Fadil. Something that you said earlier, piqued my interest, and I think it is something that you may want to speak to further. You said that Nigerians should demand for the kind of health care delivery system that they want. The question is, how?
Very, very much. At the time when the health workers want to go on strike, before we have balkanization of all the association, we will have some other union who will plead with the Nigerian Medical Association or other health workers association that please don't go. You are there for our health, we'll fight the fight for you. But today we are having Labour Congress looking the other way, we have DUESU looking the other way, we have GUC looking the other way. They said back to your tent, to Israel. Everybody now start fighting for themselves, and this is the balkanization of the divide and rule that the government has put in place. And that is what they are trying to put in the issue of resident doctors and NMA. NMA is fully backing the resident doctors. We cannot come out and say we do not know what the National Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors are doing. They cannot cause that division. We need Nigerians because we are dying. Doctors are dying during strike. Non-doctors are dying during strikes. We need to come together and say enough is enough. If resident doctors, if Labour Congress, if TUC, if ASU, if everybody comes and say, look, though we have our own problem, health is paramount to us, we must settle this health issue. I can tell you that we will change the narrative. But everybody is on its own. And that is how we have gotten ourselves, the resident doctors, the Nigerian Medical Association, to a position in which we have to fight for ourselves. At the time, doctors are in their clinics and taking care of people. They don't care about how much comes to them. But today, if you don't, those people, every other person will get what their benefit is or are, and at the end of the day, you will be left alone. You can see a classical example. They said they want to give debt something to the insurance to 100 and something, and not a single resident doctor is included. Do you want the resident doctors to leave their clinics and start sitting down with the head of service or with in the different ministries to get those benefits done? We always trusted that the government will do its part, the workers there will do their part, and we will be able to have our own without any level of lobbying or any level of looking at our shoulders. But this is the problem we have in Nigeria. So we want to also call on the populace. It is time for us to demand for our health. They said that health is personalized. If I am sick, if I have the money, I can go to US, to UK, to anywhere. They say it's personalized. But for many of us, it is not personalized. It is what the government has given us. And the government must make sure that things are done. The doctors have come out at a time that every political office holder should not go out of this country. They should use the health facilities that they are put in place. No, they refuse that. If any one of them is sick, they fly out of this country and they go and meet doctors. And many of them, they meet Nigerian doctors. They will not come back and want to replicate those things in this country. And it is the populace, it is the masses that bear the brunt. We need the masses to rise up.
Okay.
Not by resident doctors, by Nigerian Medical Association, are not primarily supposed to be for us. It's supposed to be for every one of us.
Okay, all right. Dr. Ojebo, in closing now, so with the minister saying that he will not dialogue with doctors anymore, what happens now? Where do we go from here? What next?
Thank you so much. Yeah, like we've always done. We've always taught the path of diplomacy. We've always taught the path where whenever they call us for negotiations, we're always ready to turn up and listen and posit the position of the National Executive Council. If the Minister of Labour, who sits as the conciliator, is saying he's not going to call for any form of discourse, dialogue, give or take, we will just sit down and watch.
Okay.
We don't have anything to do. We've explored all the options that exist. We've written several communiques, we've written several pleas to the government, and if they don't want to attend to us, at this point, I think we've gone to our breaking limit.
Okay.
We've gone to our breaking limit.
Dr. Julian Ojebo is Chairman, Communication and Communicate, and immediate past First Vice President of the National Association of Resident Doctors. He joined us from our studio in Abuja. And Dr. Francis Faduile is a consultant pathologist, former president, Nigerian Medical Association, and he joined us virtually. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Dr. Ojebo says, so now we just sit down and watch. In the meantime, what happens to the sick? What happens to those on admissions in hospitals? Well, maybe we'll just all resort to prayer. See you in just a moment with another interesting conversation.